Welcome to the tutorial for adding an activity in Wellvibe. Begin by logging into Wellvibe at www.wellvibelogin.com. Hover over your name on the toolbar and click on Site Administration. There are three parts to an activity: wildcards, clinical logic, and the activity itself. We will go through all three parts in this tutorial. In this example, we're going to create a diabetes prevention activity for all men that have a glucose level over 100. First, we'll begin by defining the term wildcard. A wildcard is simply a variable for a member. It could be their date of birth, their gender, or a biometric value such as their glucose. It's basically any variable that is attached to a member and can be used to stratify the group. To view a list of wildcards, click on Add Edit Wildcard. From here, we can add a wildcard if we would like. In this example, we're going to use system-generated wildcards, which are gender and glucose. The next step is to create clinical logic for our activity. Clinical logic is a collection of wildcards that can be assigned to an activity. We can create this by clicking on the Add Edit Clinical Logic. Then click on the Add New Clinical Logic button. The first field is the name. In this example, we will call this male glucose over 100. Now we click on the Add Item button. This will allow us to add a wildcard to our logic. The first wildcard is gender. We want this to apply to all men, so we will set the gender equal to male. Then we click on Add Item to add our next wildcard. This is where we will define the glucose level. Our wildcard will be glucose, and we will set this greater than 100. Since both of these wildcard items must be true, both should have the Exclude from Number Required option set to No, and the number of items required set to 2, which is gender and glucose. Once we have this updated, click Add to save the clinical logic. Now that we've created the clinical logic, we can move on to creating the activity itself. Do this by clicking on Add Edit Activities, and then click on Add New Activity. The first field is the activity name. This is the name that the member will see. We will call this Diabetes Prevention. The internal system name is what will show on the administrator side. In this example, we will call the activity Diabetes Prevention Male. The visibility start date is the first date the activity is visible to members, and the end date is the day the activity will expire and no longer be visible. Select the plan year that this activity applies to. Now there are different types of activities. Here we can select the type of activity we would like. In this example, we're creating a barcode activity. You can refer to our tutorial video library for creating different types of activities. The activity interval is the length of time that the activity will stay completed for. In this example, we will leave this at 1 year. An example of a longer interval would be a colonoscopy, which would be for 10 years. The next field allows us to specify if this is a required or optional activity. A member must complete all required activities to be 100% complete. If the activity is optional, the member may have the choice not to complete it. We will make our activity required. The next field is where we assign our clinical logic role. We will select the role that we previously created, male glucose over 100. We can leave the Merge with Another Activity field as Do Not Merge. For more information on creating merged activities, please refer to our tutorial video library. We will not hide this from the completed list as we want the members to see that they have completed it. And also, this is not a first-time login activity. A first-time login activity would require the member to complete this activity before accessing their home page. The points field is where we can enter a point value for the activity. Since we're only using required and optional, we're going to leave this blank. At this time, we can select the icon for the activity. We do this by single-clicking on the activity icon that we would like to use. Since this is a barcode activity, we don't have to update the information in the Setup Activity tab and can go directly to the Activity Description tab. Our activity description is where we add the content for the activity. Begin by choosing the language. You can then add the contact by either copying and pasting or typing the information in manually. For this example, we're going to type in, "You have received this activity because you are a male and have a glucose over 100. Once the content is added, click on the Activity Completion tab and click Add Activity. We now see that our activity is populated in the Activities Setup table. Now we can look at the member portal at a man who has a glucose over 100, and we can see the diabetes prevention activity that we created has been assigned to this member. And that is how you create an activity in Wellvibe. As always, if you have any questions, you can contact Wellvibe support at 1-800-499-1286 or email us at support@wellvibe.com.